Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to tackle a number of issues, and now we are going to tackle the visit of our top diplomat, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, to Munich to participate in the Munich Security Conference and to represent Egypt as the president-designate of the COP27 summit, which is going to tackle climate change and going to be hosted by Sharm el-Sheikh, inshallah, in November. Later this year, and to shed more light on the important visit of the speech of Sameh Shoukry, who was a keynote speaker in the important gathering, and he also had a number of meetings on the sidelines of the event. We are very much delighted to have with us via phone Mrs. Amira Said, journalist, and to continue with our coverage of this important visit by our top diplomat. Mrs. Amira, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Mrs. Amira, we are speaking about a really important visit by our top diplomat, Sameh Shoukry, not only as our foreign minister, but also, as I said, as the president-designate for the COP27 climate summit, or the important gathering which is going to attract world leaders from all over the globe to take place and to be hosted by Sharm el-Sheikh later this year. Egyptian top diplomat tackled a number of issues and a number of important points during his speech. Would you please elaborate on that, ma'am?
Yeah. Definitely now all the world is waiting for COP27. This is going to be held in Egypt. We have to take into consideration that Egypt is the first Arab and African country to host this important event. So the Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry visited Bonn in order to hold many senior officials, and this is within the framework of preparing for COP27 and discussing what are the required preparation for this important summit. We have a roadmap here in Egypt from Glasgow to Sharm el-Sheikh, so we have to build on the outcomes of Glasgow in order to further enhance the international efforts related to climate change, in order how to activate Paris Agreement that is seeking to curb the emissions and the severe impact of climate change. So definitely this is a very important steps in order to agree on the required steps to render the upcoming COP27 a real success.
Now the world is listening to Egypt, is listening to Egypt's endeavors to fight climate change, and as you've kindly mentioned, to build on what was achieved in Glasgow. But now there are words which are relatively new. To speak about, for example, climate security. To what extent do you think that the world learned the lesson, and we know all as a small village, the planet now is a small village, that climate security is part of our security as human beings in general?
Yeah, definitely. Now the climate change is a global challenge. It has a great impact on all development sectors. We have now dealing with this file not just as a development challenge only, but it is also about a security challenge, as you mentioned. Now, if we are talking about the Egyptian role in this field, for example, the major emissions they are released by other countries. Egypt has only 6.0% of the total emissions of the world, but because Egypt bears its responsibility towards the whole world now, the whole world, as you mentioned, we are facing the same danger. So definitely now, if we are talking about security, we have definitely climate change. It has a direct impact on climate, on the security of nations. For example, due to the severe impacts of climate change, the number of refugees have increased. Now we have the so-called climate refugees. So definitely it has a direct impact. Climate change has a direct impact on water security as well. It is piling pressure on the limited water resources. So, and also the water security is part and parcel of the national security. So definitely the climate change, it has a direct impact on all sectors, in all development.
In all sides of life, yes. Another term which emerged is international climate diplomacy. And one of the important meetings which took place yesterday or the day before was between Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and the U.S. climate envoy John Kerry, who is going to pay a visit to Egypt today, and he is going to continue in his official visit for 2 days, in which he is going to meet with a number of top executives. How do you see those intensive climate diplomacy talks between our top diplomat and Kerry?
Yeah. Definitely now the U.S. presidential special envoy for climate will start his visit today. He will be on a 2-day visit. During this visit, Kerry is going to meet the government officials and business representatives to urge continued and increase the climate ambition. Kerry is to deliver a speech and address in the American University in Cairo regarding the future of international climate action before COP27. And definitely the Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and Kerry, they will launch the inaugural meeting of U.S.-Egypt Climate Working Group. This is came as part of a joint endeavor or efforts to advance the bilateral and multilateral climate goals ahead of COP27. So all these efforts, international efforts, came within the framework of the so-called climate diplomacy. It's very important to tackle this problem from a broader and holistic perspective in order to reach swift and practical solutions to this problem.
Amen to that. A quadripartite meeting for foreign ministers of Egypt, Jordan, France and Germany was also held on the sidelines of the important gathering in Munich to discuss the Middle East peace process, and they went out of the meeting declaring a number of recommendations. How do you see the keenness of those 4 top diplomats from the West and the East to gather, to convene and to discuss the Middle East peace process on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference?
Yeah, definitely. This is very important to continue the coordination and consultation with a view to advancing the Middle East peace process towards a comprehensive and lasting peace on the basis of the two-state solution. And the top diplomats mentioned that they see with concern the increasing tensions on the ground, and they have recalled the urgency of resumption of the serious and meaningful talks between the parts or under the UN umbrella, including under the Middle East Quartet. So definitely the Arab Peace Initiative is very important, and that's why in this meeting of the senior officials they emphasize their commitment to support all efforts to achieve a just and lasting and comprehensive peace. And actually, they also said that in the absence of negotiations, they have underlined the importance of creating like political and economic horizons in order to see more future of mutual confidence building measures that are based on we can say certain commitments. So definitely, as you mentioned now, the climate change, we are not talking about like a minor file or an elite issue. Now climate change, peace or international security, they are linked to each other. So definitely when we are talking about global challenge like climate change, we can see that other important challenges facing the world, like enhancing peace, security, or even illegal migration, it can be discussed on the same table because these are the main global challenges that are facing the whole world.
Yes, and they were looking to security from a panoramic prospect. I mean, security or the national security is to fight terrorism, to fight extremism, to end the chronic crises we had in the Middle East, to consider climate security. But also, if you permit me to return back to this meeting which gathered the 4 top diplomats, they spoke also about the illegal settlements, the Israeli illegal settlements, and how this is one of the big obstacles on the way to return to the negotiating table. And also they mentioned the necessity and the importance of uniting the Palestinian factions also to reach this comprehensive, just solution for the crisis we had in the Middle East. How do you see those two elements, Mrs. Amira?
Yeah, definitely in this meeting, they stressed the need to refrain from all unilateral measures that undermine the two-state solution. And also, they said that they mentioned all these unilateral actions, including building and the expansion of settlements, the confiscations of the land, and the eviction of Palestinians from their homes, including in East Jerusalem, as well as from any acts also of violence. So they mentioned what has been done in the last period, and that's why in this context they stress that the rights of the residents of, for example, of Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan neighborhoods with regard to their homes must be respected. So we have seen that many important messages that have been sent out to the whole world yesterday, because this meeting was making headlines worldwide, and all international partners and all communities, they were looking forward to the outcomes of this important event. I think that the statement that was released after this meeting, it was clear, and many important messages have been sent out. Yeah.
And it was also symbolic to have two top diplomats from the West, Annalena Baerbock of Germany, Yves Le Drian from France, and of course from the East, Egypt and Jordan, the most important key players in the Middle East peace process. I think that this is also symbolic and sending a lot of messages. True?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now the whole world, we can say that, recognize the pivotal role played by Egypt in order to restore the stability to the Middle East and the region. So definitely, whenever there is a meeting that is attended by the Egyptian foreign minister or by Egyptian senior officials, we can see that the regional issues and hot files, they are on the table. Now the whole world, they are looking at Egypt as an active leader, as a pioneer, because even Egypt has its own experience in laying down the foundation of economic and political stability. So definitely, when we have a comprehensive dialogue and presence with international partners, it's very important in order to know what is going on the real ground. Now the whole world should bear its responsibility to end the bloodshed, to end anything that is against the human rights. Yeah.
One final question, Mrs. Amira, and let me, if you please, connect two incidents which took place in the very same day. This quadripartite ministerial meeting between the four top diplomats of Egypt, Jordan, Germany and France, and the Arab Parliament session which took place here in Cairo in the Arab League headquarters, and the final communique or the document which is going to be presented in the coming Arab League summit, also speaking about many of the crises which are taking place, unfortunately, in the Middle East and or in the Arab nation. On top of the list was the Palestinian cause, and to say to the whole world that the Arabs did not forget the Palestinian cause, and it's going to remain our case till we reach a fair and just a comprehensive solution to the crisis and an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. How do you see those two events taking place in the very same day, both regarding the Palestinian cause and both trying to reach a comprehensive solution or to return at least to the negotiating table?
Yeah, definitely. We have recently seen that the Arab League called upon the international community to put serious and real pressure on Israeli occupation forces to stop the aggression, repressive practices, and the daily violations of the most basic rights of the Palestinian people within the Green Line and throughout the occupied Arab territories. So we have seen that the Arab League also stressed the need to compel Israeli forces to stop settlement operation, Judaization, and many other unilateral actions. The Arab League also noted that Palestinians inside, they are authentic part of the Palestinian Arab people. They are with their brothers in every inch of the land of Palestine in the face of the brutal aggression with the policies and practices of settlement. So definitely the Arab League also, the upcoming summit, it will be of a paramount importance because the Arab League is going to call on the United Nations and the Human Rights Council to assume their responsibilities towards the cause of pain to Palestinians and injustice. And there has been a recent statement by the end of January that was released by the Arab League. And in this statement, the Arab League considered the systematic targeting of Palestinians by military force and reaffirming that its full support for the rights of the Palestinian people. So definitely discussing all these developments both on regional and international levels, it's very important in order to deliver the true image of what is going on real ground. So definitely the upcoming period, you will witness more strict measures taken whether by the Arab League or by all authorities concerned.
The international community or the concerned bodies, yes. Mrs. Amira Sayed, journalist and writer, thank you very much for your input and have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.